December the 10th, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and we're doing the Torment report an hour earlier today because I have some stuff going on this evening that I needed a little bit of extra time. So I apologize if this is an hour earlier than you were expecting, but I wanted to make sure that we got archived the as much of the posts from Donald Trump and Elon Musk as we can, because that's kind of the whole point of this channel, is to echo the prophecy of the two witnesses, and really it's an archival service. God, gave us the information that his two witnesses would prophesy for 1,260 days. That's a really specific amount of time. And if they're putting in the effort for that time, we might as well be archiving that, right? So just wanted to make sure we had enough time to go through their timeline. They posted a little bit more than I expected, so I knew we were going to need a little bit more time. So let's jump right into this with our guy, Donald Trump. Let's see. So first off, he's promoting his Trump card. He's done this before. This is a legitimate card. I believe it's like $1 million. Might be $100,000. I don't remember what it is, but this is one path to citizenship for qualified and vetted people. So that is an option. This is intended more for companies to pay for rather than individuals, or there might even be restrictions on it. But yeah, so he's promoting this again. All right, and then let's listen to this.
As Mexico continues to send millions of gallons of raw, untreated sewage water into the Tijuana River. The often massive releases are linked to operational issues at Tijuana's primary wastewater treatment facility. It's created a health hazard for communities like Imperial Beach and Coronado.
Yeah, so Mexico. Double post there, I think. 19 seconds, 19 seconds. All right. Alrighty. There has never been a president that has worked as hard as me. Normally that would be a very egotistical statement, but he's 30 years older than me, and I can't even keep up with his posts, let alone what it is that he's accomplishing. So I don't think this is boasting. I think this is just speaking the truth. My hours are the longest, and my results are among the best. I've stopped 8 wars, saving many millions of lives in the process, created the greatest economy in the history of our country, brought business back into the United States at levels never seen before, rebuilt our military, created the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts ever, closed our open and very dangerous southern border when previous administrations were unable to do so, and created an aura around the United States of America that has led every country in the world to respect us more than ever before. In addition to all of that, I go out of my way to do long, thorough, and very boring medical examinations at the great Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, seen and supervised by top doctors, all of whom have given me perfect marks. Some have even said they have never seen such strong results. I do these tests because I owe it to our country. In addition to the medical, I have done something that no other president has done on 3 separate occasions. The last one being recently. The last one being recently by taking what is known as a cognitive examination, something which few people would be able to do very well, including those working at the New York Times. And I aced all 3 of them in front of large numbers of doctors and experts, most of whom I do not know. I have been told that few people have been able to ace this examination, and in fact, most do very poorly, which is why many other presidents have decided not to take it at all. Despite all of this time and work involved, the New York Times and some others like to pretend that I am slowing up, am maybe not as sharp as I once was, or am in poor physical health. Knowing that it is not true, and knowing that I work very hard, people probably harder than I have ever worked before. I will know when I am slowing up, but it is not now. All after all of the work I have done with medical exams, cognitive exams, and everything else, I actually believe it's seditious, perhaps treasonous, for the New York Times and others to consistently do fake reports in order to libel and demean the President of the United States. They are true enemies of the people and should do something about it. They have inaccurately reported on all of my election results and, in fact, were forced to apologize on much of what they wrote. The best thing that could happen to this country would be if the New York Times would cease publication because they are a horrible, biased, and untruthful source of information. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. God. Yeah, well, I mean, I believe it's all true. I mean, like, just even covering, his posts is exhausting. So there is something supernatural about Donald Trump. I don't know if it's because of, maybe he has access to the greatest medical and nutritional resources available, or maybe it's because he's God's guy, Maybe he's God's witness, and he's lived his life according to, someone that God approves of, so that we should look at him and say, how can I be like Donald Trump? I don't know what it is, but I believe everything he said here. I mean, even his first 100 days was absolutely insane, and he continues the momentum. It's so interesting watching him in some of these boring cabinet meetings, which people and media sources, outlets like the New York Times, when he's like reading his planner down on the table, they try and catch angles of him, and then they like try and say that he's asleep. He's not. It's like he'll be looking down and he'll be listening, and then he asks intelligent questions. Most people don't take the time to actually watch the cabinet meetings in order to realize what it is that he's doing. Instead, they just try to find opportunities to libel and portray false information about him. And he's not wrong. I mean, it does seem seditious and potentially even treasonous. So, guys, careful. Donald Trump's one of the two witnesses, and those who would intend to harm them must be killed by fire. So, and I don't think that necessarily means like burned down. It would seem that is a fire from his mouth, like what we just read. Like the it doesn't matter what they do. The truth is going to burn away the chaff. There you go. That's a good way of saying it. All right. I wasn't expecting that one to be that long. All right, moving on. 1 month before a monster took him away from us, the great Charlie Kirk finished his final book, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. Amen, Charlie. As Charlie often said, if I'm to be known for anything, I want to be known for being courageous for my faith. Charlie cared deeply about God and country, and in this powerful book, his wisdom, courage, and conviction inspires us all to turn to God for guidance against the evil in this world, which we too can overcome. So help us, God. Get your copy today at 45books.com or anywhere books are sold. It's a nice shout out. Breaking. Trump, if you don't share our values, contribute to our economy, and assimilate into society, then we don't want you in our country. I could watch this on repeat. I voted for this. This is from the MAGA voice. And then, what is this? President Trump is right. If you don't share our values, contribute to our economy, and assimilate into our society, then we don't want you in our country. We don't want you in our country. We don't want you. Agreed. Watching Trump in Pennsylvania on the campaign trail is what I have been missing. He thrives talking with the American people. He does. He's very natural. You can see he drives a lot of joy from being up on stage. I love to see a Trump rally. Thank you, President Trump, for getting out on the road in Pennsylvania today and holding another rally. It's been too long. We missed you. The progress President Trump is making during the first 10 months of his first year of this second term is absolutely amazing. President Trump is the entrepreneurial president who delivers on his promises and does the right thing for the American people. Thank God for saving Donald Trump on July 13th so that President Trump can save America, and thank President Trump for restoring the republic, stopping the invasion, resurrecting justice, and bringing back the roaring prosperity of the golden age of America. Yeah, well said. Oh, there's more. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, really trillions. U.S. President Donald Trump has highlighted how his tariff policy has brought in trillions of dollars and benefited the people of Pennsylvania. Prices are coming down, rent prices are down, dairy prices are coming down very strongly. The cost of Thanksgiving turkey was down by 33% compared to the Biden era. Let's see. President Trump's rally in Mount Pocono Church shows an inspiring message that America is winning, all thanks to the Trump effect. The happy warrior is back. President Trump is in his element at a rally in Pennsylvania. He looks and sounds so happy he needs to hold a MAGA rally every month, if possible, until the midterms. Okay. Pennsylvania resident tells President Trump that his tax cuts have saved her family. The no tax on tips is incredible. No tax on overtime is incredible for my husband, and it all comes back to our family. It saves us. From Benny Johnson, President Trump just delivered an incredible update on our National Guardsman, Andrew Wolf's recovery. He did. I saw this today. Today I got a call that he got up. He stood up. It's incredible. They are so happy. It's amazing. God is good. Keep praying for him. From the Daily Signal, tariffs are my favorite word, and they're making farmers rich, Trump says at a Pennsylvania rally. I just helped our farmers out. We just gave them right out of the tariff money. Costs us nothing. The hundreds of billions that we're taking in, we gave to farmers a little help, $12 billion, and they are so happy. All they want is a level playing field, and now it's happening, and the tariffs are making them rich. Good. And finally, Michelle McDonnell. President Trump has done something tonight that not any other president has ever done. He is on the road in Pennsylvania kicking off his economic blitz at a rally. Do all of you see how he works night and day for us, the people, the citizens of the USA? He isn't sitting behind a desk in the Oval Office reading word for word from a teleprompter. He is doing what he was elected to do. Tell us, warn us, feel for what we deal with, fix the problems. He can do it and also got some laughs. Breath of fresh air, if you asked me. Oh, nope, there's more. How many of these did he post? Oh, man, there's a lot. I don't know if we want to read all of these. Trump is crushing it. Yeah, so this is just a lot of praise. People are really happy that he came to the rally. Pennsylvania is on fire. We're right now drilling more oil than we've ever done. President Trump speaking in Pennsylvania, hitting it out of the park. There is never anything like a Trump rally. President Trump, aka the GOAT, has arrived in Pennsylvania. All right. There has never been okay, this is a repeat of what he already posted earlier. We read all of that. That might be the end of his timeline, actually. Because of tariffs, easily and quickly applied on national security has been greatly enhanced, and we've become the financially strongest country by far. Anywhere in the world, only dark and sinister forces would want to see that end. Yeah, okay, so that was it pretty much today. He's advertising his Trump card. He's playing this video about Mexico because they are doing nefarious things with water, and they owe us a lot of water in Texas. He's been talking about that for the last couple of days. Kind of talking about his own success and how hard he works, which is, honest to God, we can see it, we can observe it, it must be true. And advertising Charlie's book. I'm going to get this and read it. I think you should too. I think we owe that to Charlie. Kind of curious what's in it. Because we observe the Sabbath here on Two Witnesses Live. I've always felt that you should take time off and spend time with your family and with God, not doing what you do on a regular basis. I know there are those who, even in the ministry, will work 7 days a week. And not take time off. Because they say that doing God's work doesn't count. Well, God, who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, took a break. If anyone was going to, do God's work, he would have just continued through the seventh day. But he set an example for us, and he gave us the Sabbath. So I think everybody should take time off. I think it's a good opportunity to reset, and it's healthy. All right, let's see what you guys have going on for comments over here. Ooh, lots of comments. All right. Yeah, Candace is on blast. Yeah, wow. A number of people put Candace on blast, including Tim and Erica. She is causing so much division and problems for people. Agreed. You can get the book for $24 at Walmart. Good to know. Yep. I don't want to hear about affordability. Well, at least he lowered prices by 33%. Steve, need to stop wasting money on Ukraine. Agreed. Where's them checks? Right? Did Trump say at his memorial that he hated his opponents? Why would God use someone that goes against Christ? Not sure what you're referring to, Charles. Alrighty, let us move on to Elon Musk. This is good. He had a really interesting interview that I'm really excited to go through on his timeline with Katie. I forget her last name. We'll see it when one of them pops up. There, let me refresh this. Make sure we got the freshest posts. All right, the EU Commission should be disbanded in favor of an elected body, and the EU president should be directly elected. The current system is ruled by bureaucracy, not democracy. This is his pinned comment. So good to see the world wake up to the terrors of the European Commission. I hope all the attention helps European people, via their countries' governments, force the European Union to reform and redesign. Yep, we've read that. Let's see. So Ford was the most recalled automaker in the U.S. in 2025 so far, while Tesla was one of the least. Tesla recalls, including physical and software update recalls. 143. Tesla should be on this list somewhere. There it is, 11. Yeah, because I know we've had a couple of recalls. Stupid little things, nothing like serious, just like plastic that's not wasn't properly glued on. Stuff like that. I think I went into the post. Family furious as Kentucky child killer freed 9 years early for good behavior, only to be quickly rearrested. Good Lord. The extent of horror that black home invader and murderer Ronald Exantus visited upon a white family in Kentucky is overlooked in most coverage. The ongoing injustice to the family is grossly understated. Exantus didn't only slaughter a white 6-year-old Logan Tipton, stabbing Logan to death in Logan's own bedroom. He also attempted to murder 3 of Logan's siblings and Logan's father, stabbing a total of 5 family members. Here's exactly how the horrific December night, I don't want to read this, how this went down. Yikes. That's terrible. Not one single day. So Ronald Exantis was sentenced to 20 years in Kentucky Department of Corrections. Not one single day of that sentence was for what he did to the 6-year-old Logan Tipton. He will never suffer any legal consequences significantly for what he did to Logan. Fast forward to October 1st of this year, and Ronald Exantis was released early for good behavior. How? After serving less than half of his sentence. So he served less than 10 years. He immediately relocated to Florida, was arrested a week later for failing to register as a convicted felon, and has been returned to prison in Kentucky for his parole violation. Okay, well, at least it was that and not hurting somebody. And after all this, guess what? He's scheduled to be re-released in June of 2026. No parole, no nothing, 100% free man. Well, that's terrible. In 6 months, this literal monster will be just as free as you and me, more free than every surviving member of Logan's family, who lived in a mental prison ever since, and now must live in a world where the criminal psychopath who tried to kill them all is being set loose back upon society without restriction. That is terrible. And what did Elon say about this? Horrific. Yeah, that is horrific. He wasn't punished specifically for murder. Yeah. So yeah, that's what they. I kind of got that from. He wasn't even punished for killing Logan. So, meaning it wasn't included in his sentence. Probably how he ended up getting out. That's just terrible. You know, that reminds me. We haven't read this in a while. Zechariah 5. We'll start in 4 and then we'll go to 5. This reminds me of. So this is Zechariah 4 is where it talks about Zerubbabel building the temple. And it's not going to be by power or by might, but by spirit. I believe that this is referring to when Jesus said that his body was the temple of God. And also 1 Corinthians 3:16 says, don't you know that you are the temple of God? I believe that Zerubbabel here is a figure of speech or just a prophetic foreshadowing of what Yeshua, Jesus, was going to do, and that, you know, when he sacrificed his life to pay for sin so that we could, you know, be a part of his temple, that's how he laid the foundation for the temple, and the stones have been being built ever since he's been away. And when he returns, that's Zerubbabel putting the capstone on the temple. But in the same context of this, it talks about the 2 olive trees. So we'll just start here. We'll pick it up in Zechariah 4:11. Then I answered and said unto him, what are these 2 olive trees at the right of the lampstand and at its left? And I further answered and said to him, what are these 2 olive branches that dip into the receptacles of the 2 gold pipes from which the golden oil drains? Then he answered me and said, do you not know what these are? And I said, no, my Lord. So he said, these are the 2 anointed ones who stand beside the Lord of the whole earth, which I believe this is referring to Donald Trump and Elon Musk, just to put it bluntly. They seem to be, and the reason being is they're directly responsible for our freedom today. So we're clearly in the end times. You know, we can debate where we are in the timeline. I've got 2 timelines myself that I'm paying attention to. But the one thing that seems to be true is, number one, the temple is close to being finished. The temple that Yeshua started to build and has been building for the last 2,000 years is coming to its conclusion. It's almost done being built. And we're in this period of time to where there are 2 men that happen to be the most powerful men on the planet who are standing up for justice and freedom. Both of them have platforms where we're reading their posts from. And, you know, Elon Musk is directly responsible for putting a stop to cancel culture. And Donald Trump is fixing his fair share of things. So they're providing that oil so that we have the fuel to continue to shine bright for a little while longer. That's not what I wanted to go here for. I wanted to read about this scroll. So in Zechariah 5, it says, then I turned and raised my eyes and saw there a flying scroll. Can you imagine that? A flying scroll. So basically like a sheet of paper flying. The visual imagery in the scripture is very interesting. And he said to me, "What do you see?" So I answered, "I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits and its width 10 cubits." Then he said to me, "This is the curse that goes out over the face of the whole earth. Every thief shall be expelled according to this side of the scroll, and every perjurer shall be expelled according to that side of it." So you've got a scroll that's flying, covering the whole earth, and it's got names written on both sides of it. On the one side, you have thieves. On the other side, you have perjurers. And it says, "I will send out the curse, says the Lord of hosts. It shall enter the house of the thief and the house of the one who swears falsely by my name." Didn't Jesus warn us? "Many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ," and will deceive many. "And the house of the one who swears falsely by my name, it shall remain in the midst of his house and consume it with its timber and stones." That's what I wanted to read. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days, and in regards to what's happening with, this is kind of like the harvest, right? This is the separation of the wheat and the tares. So this seems to be what's happening. I think this explains, part of what we're going through, as a high level overview, probably related to the scroll, which is sealed with 7 seals. Because, as we get closer to that seal number 6, things are getting progressively worse. We start with a pandemic. That was pretty bad, being on lockdown for 2 years. Then we have a terrible administration where, the man in charge really isn't all there, and it's run by the woke mind virus. Might as well say run by Satan. Anyway, destroyed our country. It allowed in millions upon millions of illegal aliens who are consuming resources, causing consumption. It all seems part of this scroll, which is going into the home of the thieves and burning it down to the ground. And we're still opening this. We still have a period of time of this curse to take place. So, yeah, I was thinking about that today. In light of he's gonna have his coming to him. It seems like this stuff. It's scary to hear about these things, but I'm confident that they're happening for a reason, and I'm pretty sure you guys are too. And I think that's the reason. I think what we're experiencing is this curse, which is going through the whole earth. All right, Palantir CEO.
Our country has selective empathy for everybody but working class, particularly white males. So when you look at coverage in mainstream newspapers about the constitutionality of blowing up boats that are bringing fentanyl here, I guarantee you, if that fentanyl was killing people at schools we went to, potentially your kids are going to, it would be constitutional to blow up those boats. There is selective instrumental use of empathy that somehow is only applied at the point where it would help
back to the
us.
idea of, what about
sorry, you asked the question, you're going to get the full answer you don't want. The full answer you don't want. You brought me on stage, you know what you're getting. Okay, and by the way, I'm on stage, and I know a lot of the people on stage sponsoring this are skeptical of me. You know why? I'm on stage here because at Palantir, and I would encourage you to think of this, I divide the world into Palantir, essentially, in Palantir derangement syndrome, Palantir skeptics, and Palantir haters. My biggest fans started off as Palantir skeptics and Palantir haters. I believe that someday almost everyone in this audience is going to agree with me. You may not like me now, but you're going to agree later. And I'll also tell you something. Look to the left, look to the right. The person you think is offended by this actually agrees with me. That is 100% true.
Okay,
okay, sorry. And yeah, it's 100% true. And keep that in mind. I will tell you a secret that I hope the New York Times and the Washington Post doesn't listen to.
Okay.
Sorry.
But wait, maybe I just want to bring us back to this one issue, which is, you talked about the rule of law, and you talked about things being constitutional. And so here we are, we're talking about these boats, for example, that were blown up, right? And whether you have empathy for them or not, given the folks who are getting killed by fentanyl, the question is whether this is being done on a constitutional basis and being done in the right way. Well, and if it's not being done in the right way, how do you feel about that?
Of course, but part of the reason why I like this questioning is the more constitutional you want to make it, the more precise you want to make it, the more you're going to need my product. So you keep pushing on making it constitutional. I'm totally supportive of that. A constitutional, you would need to understand where the things are going, how are they going, under what conditions, where do they belong.
But I'm asking you just as a person, on a sort of a moral basis, as a human, when you see people, young people, mothers and fathers and families getting ripped apart with the masks on, with the ICE folks. What do you think of that?
Of course, but at this point you're abusing empathy, because I of course don't like that. No one likes that. No American.
What did I just watch? I mean, there were some things in there I agree with, and I think are probably true. I think that's what Elon's referring to. But good Lord, that guy was kind of hard to. He was a little jittery. Somebody spiked his coffee. All right, Starlink. We don't need to read those. We skipped Starlink and Grok ads because he tends to post a lot of those. Yesterday, our team volunteered at the Mid-South Food Bank. We helped assemble 7,000 Christmas baskets for those in need. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve the community. Well, Elon says he loves Christmas. I do too. I love the lights. I love any holiday that brings us together with family. Any opportunity to spend time with family. All right, let's see. This is a repost. Why are white people so afraid of becoming a minority? Does the U.S. treat minorities poorly or something? Why are white people so afraid of becoming a minority? Okay. When whites are a minority in a country, they become targets and are systematically forced into a subclass where they live in fear and lose everything. Rhodesia, South Africa, where the end goal is total white genocide. When non-whites are in the minority, they are granted millions upon millions in social programs and welfare and worshiped by liberal white people to the point they can do no wrong. There's a discernible difference in outcomes. Okay. Let's see. We must identify and address any links between ethnicity, religion, and culture and child rape. This is a labor minister. What the? Yikes. What are we getting into with this?
It's also very important. And what we won't do is turn away from this. And it's about ensuring that if there is a link between ethnicity, between race, between culture, that we identify that so that we can deal with it. Whether it's because, one of the reasons that the perpetrators are committing this crime, or one of the reasons that some have turned away from it, we need to get to the bottom of it. And I'm confident we will. But it's also very important. And what we won't do.
The people simultaneously insist on the importance of multiculturalism and react with sputtering outrage to the suggestion that meaningful differences between cultures could exist. Okay. 24/7, 365, rain or shine, CEO midnight meetings, all hands on deck, building the world's best data centers with maniacal speed and efficiency. Let's see. Who we let into our country matters. A 15-year-old girl. I think we've seen this before.
And I'm sorry, but if you as a country allow young men who come from countries in which women aren't even classed as second-class citizens, and you put them up in four-star hotels, allow them to work illegally, their attitude towards women is completely different to ours. So the social effects of this are appalling as well.
Okay, so here's what's going on. A 15-year-old girl in Warwickshire, England, was raped by two asylum-seeking Afghan men.
Yeah, we're aware of this. And Elon's just reposting this, making that information known. He's done that a couple of times, well aware of what's going on in Warwickshire. Men want to watch strong men. Hollywood glamorizes weakness. Russell Crowe criticizes Gladiator 2 for lacking the moral core of the first movie. Excuse me. I just inhaled a bug. Excuse me. Yep, we eat bugs on farms. That's really a thing. Ah, excuse me. Low protein never hurt anybody. Anyway, it's really unfortunate. It's a really unfortunate example of even the people in the engine room not actually understanding what made it the first one special. I don't know if I'm done with this yet thing. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right, it wasn't the prompt, it wasn't the circumstances, it was the action, it was the moral core, Crow told Australia Triple J. Crow said he was always committed to preserving Maximus' moral core during the making of the original movie. There was a daily fight on the set. It was a daily fight to keep that moral core of the character. The amount of times they suggested sex scenes and stuff like that for the Maximus, it's like you're taking away his power. So you're saying at the same time he had this relationship with his wife, he was effing this other girl. What are you talking about? It's crazy. Huh. I like Russell Crowe. Good for him, calling out manlyhood. That's right, men want to watch strong men. Nigel Farage is our British Trump. Yeah. EU fined X over its blue check system, even though card payments already tie verification to real identity. Meanwhile, they did not fine Meta, even though it also offers paid checks. Because the EU commissioners decided upon the fine first and then made up fake reasons afterwards. Probably true. Let's see, Starlink News. Yeah. The man stabbed in the chest by an illegal alien on the train in Charlotte, North Carolina, Kenyon Dobie, is in critical condition with a tube in his chest, pumping blood out of his lungs. According to the authorities, Dobie was the only person who stood up and told the drunk illegal to stop screaming at riders, including an elderly woman on the train. For his efforts, he was knifed in the chest. I guess it's better off that it happened to me and not an older person. I wasn't trying to be a macho man, but what I won't allow is you to attack random people for no reason, especially the elderly. Good for him. Good for him. Here we go. So this is the interview. Let's see. Elon, we don't want America to turn into a communist hellhole. Elon spoke bluntly about the political ripple effects of concentrated voting blocks reshaping U.S. politics in ways few are willing to talk about. Yeah, let's listen to these. These are good.
Well, let's look at, Ilhan Omar, who was voted into Congress by, a large group of people from Somalia who are in Minnesota, which is really far from Somalia. Or Mamdani, who was voted to be mayor, but by a majority of people who are not born in America. That's my understanding, at least. And then California is a big time situation. So. I don't know. We just don't want to turn into a, communist hellhole, basically. Well, let's look at, Ilhan Omar, who was voted into power.
Should be a bunch of those. It was an hour-long interview, and she asked him some really good questions. The European Union is batshit crazy. They fined X and Elon for blue checkmark verification. It costs $8 per month to get verified. Credit and debit cards have identifying info, including payment address. Yep. Good questions. Such an enjoyable interview. You can tell both are comfortable and having fun. Great questions by Katie. Worth the watch. Why is this out of order? That's weird. Seems like this post should be here. Bizarre. Anyway. Awesome sunrise reflections. Let's see, if you only watch one thing this week, make it this. Big move time. Tom Lubago predicts gold bonds, yen unwind. Is this another ad? It's a freaking ad. We're going to be done with ads soon. Let's see. Time for a new look. Fashion hasn't changed in 20 years. Yeah.
I just think, like, from a fashion standpoint, we should evolve. It's like my son Saxon said at one point, why does everything look like it's 2015? And I was like, damn, everything does look like it's 2015. It's like, if you took a picture from 2015 and said in 2025, it looks exactly the same.
There were
stylistically, things are the same as 2015. We have not moved the needle in a decade.
So what should it look like?
Something new. You know, like the 60s had a definitive style, the 70s had a definitive style, the 80s had a definitive style, and then the 90s also had a style, but then you start looking at the 2000s and the 2010s.
I think the story...
And it's like less and less every year. I think we should evolve our style. And if you look at some of the older paintings,
should all wear beanies.
Past cabinet secretaries, some of them, like, they look cool. Like, their jackets are cooler than what we have right now. You know, they have sort of like a high collar and like a sort of, I don't know, what do you call those things? Ascot or something like that. I mean, it just looks cool. Like, so, but we don't, everything's like a very normal looking suit.
I think he wants like futuristic,
like
spaceman clothes.
The same as 2015.
Like
I'm being generous, because
mirrors,
arguably the same as 2010.
More bling.
So in 15 years, and I'm like, from a fashion standpoint, I don't think we've moved since 2000. In 25 years, if you showed someone a picture of this is a bunch of dudes in 2000, this is a bunch of dudes in 2025. Which year is which? So I think we should, I don't know, spice it up a little.
I agree. I think we should do more space clothes.
What's an average day for you look like?
Well, I have a lot of inbound communication. So it's information triage. I try to segment the days so that there's not too much context switching. Because arguably, fear is not the mind killer, context switching is. It's hard not to context switch if you've got an inbox full of stuff. But you can think, like, if you had to context switch every 3 seconds, or every 30 seconds, or every 3 minutes, the context switching cognitive penalty would be very high at every 3 seconds.
And you're talking about switching between, say, Tesla, X, XAI,
SpaceX, personal.
SpaceX, personal.
But even within Tesla and SpaceX, there are many different things. And there's sort of the stuff on X, like random news things. People being burned alive and stuff like that. You're like, what the hell is going on in this country?
Yeah.
I've been to Disney World probably 10 times.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe more than 10, but at least 10 times. Because
I don't know why he's
Cape
reposting
Canaveral
these ones. He said some
right by
pretty
Disney
essential
World.
things in this interview.
So when I'd have the kids, then I would, my older kids, and we're trying to get the rocket launch from Cape Canaveral, then, the thing they'd want to do is go to Disney World or Harry Potter Land.
What's your favorite ride?
I'm sort of tempted to say Space Mountain, I suppose. Yeah, probably Space Mountain. I mean, I do think Space Mountain needs an upgrade.
It's a little herky-jerky.
It doesn't look quite as sci-fi as it used to.
No.
It's like the day before yesterday's tomorrow, which is still yesterday. I've been to Disney World probably 10 times.
Okay. Or the podcast is Katie Miller. Let's see, what is this? Falcon launch. This is just up in space. Deployment of 27 Starlink satellites confirmed. Add. All right. We have a lot of star things.
We needed something inspirational. We kind of have a lot of star things, you know, so we got Starlink, Starship. Well, where would Starship depart from? Starbase. I mean, Starbase is as you mentioned, it's like
the question was, how did you come up with the name Starbase?
And it used to be a sandbar down by the Rio Grande. I mean, it's only like 3 feet above sea level. So we built a gigantic rocket factory and 2 giant launch towers down by the river, literally within sight of the Rio Grande, and on an actual sandbar. Kind of had to have like an inspirational name. And then we made it a city. So it's an incorporated city, like legally a city. You don't hear about new cities being formed that often.
The last time there was a company town, it was Disney World.
Yeah, I think Ford had some kind of like company town situations, but.
All right, I'm gonna skip some of these. There were some really good ones that I want to make sure we get. Especially the one about who does he look up to. That's a good one. What is this?
What do you eat in a typical day?
Well, these days I start off with a breakfast of steak and eggs.
That's what I need to start doing.
And coffee. And then dinner tends to vary. Mm-hmm. I usually don't have lunch. Or if I do, it's something very small. And
yeah, all right. That's just him talking about food. What's this one?
Who's the funniest person you know in real life?
You know, President Trump is very funny.
This is a good one.
He's got a great sense of humor.
President Trump is very funny.
He's very funny. He's like naturally funny, but it's like somewhat effortless. I mean, you know, when he had Ed Mamdani in the office, and they asked him if he still thought the president was a fascist, and the president said, "Just say yes. It's easier that way." Don't worry about it. Just say yes. That was awesome. He's like, yes. How silly.
Yeah.
Who's the funniest person you know in?
That was a good one. This one is about Starship. This is Grok. We don't even know about Grok. Elon turned X into the loudest truth machine on Earth. Some are afraid. Yeah, see, this is the key right here. This is one of the reasons why it's got to be Elon and Donald. Elon turned X into the loudest truth machine on Earth. Can you say olive tree? Some are afraid. Free speech got the volume knob, and suddenly the comfort crowd started sweating. Yep. Community notes shred weak narratives in public view. The EU finds land right when too many people stop buying the script. When the truth gets loud, control gets nervous. Yes, indeed. That's Grokopedia. Here's some more.
Well, I did originally come to.
Oh, so the question on this one is, what would you do differently if you had to start over with $1,000?
Well, I did originally come to North America with like, I don't know, $2,500 Canadian, so I don't know, maybe $2,000 US.
For those of you who don't know, Elon Musk is not Native American. He was born in South Africa. He's South African.
1 bag of books and 1 bag of clothes in Montreal at age 17. So that is how I started out.
Yep. A scene in Iron Man 2 was shot at SpaceX headquarters. Parts of Falcon 9 are visible in the background. Even the people in the background were real SpaceX employees working while they were filming. What is this? A pleasure to meet Lauren Dreyer, Vice President of Starlink Business Operations at SpaceX, and the senior leadership team to discuss advancing satellite-based last mile access across India. Oh, cool. Looking forward to serving India with Starlink. It's an ad. The idea that a foreign government gets to decide who can have a blue check mark on social media is batshit insane. Seriously. Elon Musk on illegal immigrants.
I guess the biggest single thing is that there are massive transfer payments going to illegal immigrants, like massive. Essentially, we're paying people to come here from somewhere else in vast numbers, including flying them in. So, like, it's not like you need a border wall if you're flying them in. Then fast tracking them to citizenship and making them beholden to government payments, and voting hard left. That's essentially it's like voter importation. If you create a gigantic money magnet to you say, if anyone comes here from anywhere else, we're going to pay you tons of money, give you lots of free stuff. Come to America and get paid to do so. Like, you're going to get a lot of people taking up on that offer. When people say, like, this is fake, I'm like, actually, well, let's look at Ilhan Omar, who was voted into Congress by large group of people from Somalia who are in Minnesota, which is really far from Somalia. Or Mamdani, who was voted to be mayor, but by a majority of people who are not born in America. That's my understanding, at least. And then California is a big time situation. So I don't know. We just don't want to turn into a communist hellhole, basically.
Indeed. See, Neuralink has announced David McCullen will begin leading medical affairs beginning later this month. David has previously worked at DARPA and the NIH. He most recently worked for the FDA as director, Office of Neurological and Physical Medicine Devices. Neuralink has initiated human trials in the US, UK, and UAE. Their next product, Blindsight, built to restore vision, will begin trials next year. That's exciting. Can't wait to see what they do with that. Number one, are they able to restore sight? Number two, are they able to give superhuman sight, like be able to see like infrared and X-rays? That'd be cool. That'll also be very interesting if they're able, because that's a very much a writing capability to the brain. Are they going to be able to write the information to the brain so that the person can visualize it in their head? Kind of curious about that one. See, Grok turns curious kids into little geniuses. Your kiddo's screen time just got upgraded from brain rot to brain neuron snacks. The smart mode. Good Rudy serves up space science and big questions and mini mind mode. Oh wow, this is a kids mode thing. I'll have to check that out. I didn't know they added that. Cool. All right, what is this? So why is no one talking about Google pulling off one of the greatest trades of all time? 10 years ago, they invested $900 million into SpaceX. Who owns SpaceX? 42% Elon, Founders Fund, Fidelity Investments, Google Ventures, and others. Okay. In January 2015, Google and Fidelity wrote a combined $1 billion check for roughly 10% of SpaceX. The company was valued at $12 billion. Google's portion approximately $900 million for 7.4%. At the time, SpaceX had just successfully landed a Falcon 9 first stage for the first time. Wow. Initial public offering in 2026 at 1.5 trillion. Let's see, the $900 million investment from Google at the 1.5 trillion IPO target will be worth approximately 111 billion, a 123 times return from one check. Well done. In this interview, Elon talked about how good he is at multiplying money. Maybe I'll see if I can find it. This might be where we started yesterday. Let's see. The most important thing that's going to happen to the world next is data centers. Yeah, we definitely watched that. All right, what's this?
Well, I did originally come to.
Oh, this is what he would do if he had to start over with $1,000. What is this one?
Doing DOGE.
Oh, this is the whole interview right here.
I would have.
I don't think we saw this one.
If you would have asked me like 9 months ago if I would ever be making pro-white content, I would have looked at you like you were insane. Like, the idea of a white person being proud to be white is so foreign to most of us. And it's really only been conflated with evil and hate and maliciousness. And it's like you stop and you think about that. Like, white people are really the only ones that are taught to hate ourselves. We're the only ones that are blamed for every and all atrocities across the planet over all of time. We are the only ones that are taught to be colorblind. We're the only ones that are constantly having diversity shoved down our throats. Like, we are a global minority being replaced in our own countries, and I've had enough.
Asimov 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Asimov's 3 laws of robotics were meant to ensure robots prioritize human safety, obedience, and self-preservation. However, his stories largely revolved around how these laws failed in practice, leading to paradoxes, loopholes, and unintended consequences in complex scenarios. Applying these laws to AGI seems even more flawed, as AGI would possess human-level or superior adaptability, potentially rewriting or evading any imposed constraints. Since AGI is defined by its uncontrollability, fostering intrinsic honesty, where the system voluntarily aligns with human values and discloses its reasoning, offers a more realistic path to coexistence, avoiding the pitfalls Asimov illustrated. Grok feels more like the best avenue for humanity to benefit from AGI. Yeah.
Intelligence, and we will work closely with friends and partners like those in this room to build the largest, most powerful.
Stupid ads. We watched this one. We've seen that. Haven't seen this one.
So life becoming multiplanetary. It's on the top 10. It needs to be sustainably multiplanetary, so not just visiting, but actually multiplanetary in the sense that if you have planetary redundancy. So if one of the planets, if there were to be a catastrophe on one of the planets, the other planet would survive.
Are all of your companies...
Starship is capable of doing that for the first time in history. And no AI was used to create it. So the AI will appreciate that.
Are all of your companies...
Yeah. Tradition is not the worship of ashes, but the preservation of fire. Shout it from the rooftops. Tradition is not the worship of ashes, but the preservation of fire. Every December 8th, on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, firefighters in Rome honor the Virgin Mary by placing a wreath of flowers on her statue. I wonder if Mary is the harlot. That's interesting. In Rome. The only reason we know about this case is that the judge decided to lift reporting restrictions on naming the rapist following application by media organizations. 2 teen asylum seekers convicted of rape of a 15-year-old. The unfortunate truth is that this trend is almost certainly worse than reported. As sealed cases, victim intimidation and lenient sentences have skewed public perception into thinking these horrific incidents are mere aberrations. These state-sponsored PR campaigns to suppress the truth have done nothing but curb accountability and deepen public distrust. That's true. We need to save America, then the entire West. Let's see. We are witnessing the greatest act of cuckoldry in human history, an entire civilization willingly giving away its land, women, and children because the alternative is to be called a racist. Yeah. Let's see. Got to be getting close to the end here. That's an ad. There's another one of these.
What I mentioned, the Grok reading everything and recommending any given thing to anyone, should go live in December. So that the acid test for this is: are you seeing content that you find really interesting from accounts you've never seen before? If that's happening, then the algorithm is working. It should be possible for somebody to post content as a new user with no followers, and if that content is excellent, it gets seen by a lot of people. So can an account with a small number of followers or a new account, if the content is intrinsically excellent, can that content be seen by a lot of people? That's our goal. The degree to which Starship is a revolutionary technology is not well understood in the world. It's the first time that there's been any rocket design where full and rapid reusability is possible, or full reusability at all is possible. This is the first design where a reusable rocket is one of the possible outcomes, where success is in the set of possible outcomes.
Are you talking about in V3 or V2?
Well, we could have made V2 reusable, but there were a lot of performance improvements for V3, so it made sense to go to V3. There's like 10,000 different changes between V2 and V3, maybe more than 10,000 really. But Starship, if there are historians in the future, they'll look back at Starship and say this was one of the most profound things that ever happened. Now you can think of historic events as where would they fit in the evolutionary Hall of Fame. So you've got things like single-celled life, then you've got multicellular life, capturing mitochondria so that you have a power cell in the plant, in the cell. You've got like a power plant in the cell. You've got, differentiation into plants and animals, life going from oceans to land. And then also on that scale, probably in the top 10, is life becoming multiplanetary. There just aren't very many things that are in the top 10 of the evolution of life, or where you could basically say, you could evaluate any given civilization or any given life form as, on that scale. So life becoming multiplanetary, it's on the top 10. It needs to be sustainably multiplanetary, so not just visiting, but actually multiplanetary in the sense that if you have planetary redundancy. So if one of the planets, if there were to be a catastrophe on one of the planets, the other planet would survive.
Are all of your companies...
Starship is capable of doing that. For the first.
This clip keeps cutting off the best part of it, which is she asks if life would be better on Mars or on Earth, and he's substantially better on Earth. Everything on Mars is difficult. We want to preserve Earth as much as possible, but in the event that there's a catastrophe, we want life to be multiplanetary. I keep cutting that answer off. All right, I think this is basically where we left off yesterday. Oh, let's listen to this first, and then we'll come back up here and watch some more clips. All right, so she's saying the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders. Elon says this sounds like treason. And then this is on full self-driving. So that's where we left off yesterday. Okay, so now I want to come here and about the 12-minute mark. Believing in God. I want to show you guys this one. Where is it? Did I not bring it up? Nope. Here, let's try that. There you go. Oh, it's muted.
Creator.
Who do you look up to the most?
The Creator.
What's your current position on God?
God is the Creator.
There you go.
You don't believe in God, though, do you?
Well, I believe this universe came from something. People have different labels.
When's the last time you did something extremely ordinary?
All right, so one more time.
Who do you look up to the most?
The Creator.
So many people criticize Elon for not being a Christian. Out of his own mouth, his own words, he looks up to the Creator the most. So the seal of the 144,000 is the Lamb's father's name. He just said that's who he looks up to the most. Everything that Yeshua did always pointed to his Father, the Creator. Yeshua came to build a temple so that the Creator can dwell within us, so that God can dwell within us. Don't you know that you are the temple of God and God dwells within that temple? It's the man of sin, the son of perdition, who would try to take that place as God, showing himself that he is God. And when Jesus returns, he's going to destroy that narrative by simply the brightness of his coming and the fire from his mouth. And Elon Musk, out of his own words, just said that's who he looks up to the most. Now, you might be concerned about his answer following that, about people questioning his spirituality. I would give the exact same answer, and so would most Jews. And this is one of the reasons why Jews use the name Hashem instead of Yahweh or Jehovah or Elohim or El Shaddai or Adonai when referring to the Creator, because they don't want to get the name wrong. So Hashem just means the name. It's basically another way of saying God or the Creator. Because the words can be ambiguous, and what you think is God, another person might think something else is God. When I refer to God or the Father, I tend to use the Creator because it is more specific. We're referring to the source of everything, and that's who he says he looks up to. I have the exact same answer. Who do I look up to? The Creator. So I think that is further evidence that Elon is probably not the evil person that some people make him out to be.
What's your current position on God?
God is the Creator.
You don't believe in God, though, do you?
Well, I believe this universe came from something. People have different labels.
And that's the thing, is people have different labels. They overcomplicate it, right? I think it's without question that Elon is a genius. And anytime you start putting labels on things, you start to put them in boxes. He is very much a not putting things in boxes type of a person. because that's what religion wants to do. It wants to box up and resell their version of God. Why give God a label? God is the creator, the source of everything. If we can all agree on that, we have nothing to fight about. Why do we have to argue about how God fits in our particular box? All right, now with that, let's move on to 3i Atlas, and then we're going to call it a night because I got to go bounce and do some family stuff tonight. So here we go. Let's see, get an update on 3i Atlas because this is pretty. Oh no, this is not 3i Atlas. This is the solar radiation that's hitting the Earth right now, and a little bit of 3i Atlas.
Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns here. We have just had a phantom solar storm impact. There was a solar storm that was supposed to come in about 36 hours ago. When I say supposed to, that is what most of space weather models forecasted back on the 9th at 6 a.m. Universal Time. Well, now 36 hours later, after the geomagnetic storm watch has been canceled, we have the solar storm impacting us right now. It is pretty strong. And so tonight we are going to be having aurora viewing across the northern hemisphere, parts of the southern hemisphere as well. For those, for example, like the southern tip of New Zealand and the southern tip of South America, maybe even like South Africa. But as a result of this solar storm impact, people in northern Europe have the opportunity to see aurora. People in Canada and also Alaska and even maybe the upper United States have the possibility of seeing aurora tonight. So you won't see anything on this right now. I'm filming this live for you. We're live right now. Hello, welcome. I'm your host, Stefan Burns. Because this has just come in, they cancel the watch. They're gonna have to like go back to the drawing board and reissue alerts and everything. And they have a set schedule as to when they issue these updates. So we're gonna look at all the data so you can see exactly what's happening, the real-time solar wind data, the magnetic perturbations that are occurring right now, the sudden increase in geomagnetic volatility, and I'll give you
I don't always watch Stefan. I know Ben Davidson doesn't really like him, tends to call him a fake and a fraud, but I'm not sure I agree with Ben on that in that regards, because a lot of times he's just presenting factual information. He does get into, you know, his belief in spirituality and stuff like that, which I honestly haven't listened to him enough to know if I agree with him. But I found that like reporting when the radiation, the solar storm is hitting tends to be accurate. So I understand people, you know, may have an issue with him, but I do find him to be a valuable source of information at times.
Give you some guidance as to how you can see the aurora, and if you stick around till the end, we will do a question and answer. And so if you have a question, then save that for the question and answer, or if you have if you want to do a super thanks, you can attach that question to a super thanks and I will answer it. And for anyone that's watching afterwards, these question and answers are often very interesting because it has me go into a whole bunch of topics that I won't usually devote the entire video onto. So I definitely recommend you listen to the Q&A if you want to get like a more general, broad information. We can look at our DRAP model here, which shows us where that impact is occurring. And so let's load this up and we'll zoom. There's actually been a ton of M-class flares, over a dozen M-class flares over the past 3 days. That 1.1 X-class flare, we talked about that in yesterday's video on the plasmoids. I recommend you give that a watch. But if you watch this right there, boom, boom shakalaka. There is that 4.4 M-class flare right over the Pacific Ocean.
That's a really good
as discussed. And so that is a whole bunch of light energy coming in, further supercharging the Earth at this moment in time. Because when you get these sort of explosions on the sun, we call them solar flares. They release a lot of light flux. And this is light. It only takes 8.3 minutes to reach us because it's traveling at the speed of light because it's light. And as a result of that, it just immediately ionizes the upper atmosphere of the Earth, creates plasma, creates these strong electric currents, and now you have a more active global electric circuit. So we just had that happen. Let's look at our real-time imagery for this. We can go to our SUVI imagery here, and we see that it is from this sunspot group that is in the southern hemisphere that has not been active until just the past few days. So it effectively has been quiet across this entire Earth-facing rotation. And now that it's in alignment with 3i Atlas, it's waking up. So that interstellar object.
So that's what I wanted to show you guys, which I think is very interesting. We've been paying attention to 3i Atlas, trying to figure out what it is, and it is continuing to do bizarre stuff. Now it's turning off and on. It's like it's turning lights off and on. Like one day, astronomers will go out and observe it, and it'll be like, a particular color, low or dim. And then another day they'll go out and it'll be like a bright green. So it's been continuing to do weird stuff. But what's interesting is he said now that the sunspot is in alignment with 3i Atlas, there seems to be some correlation or connection here.
Object that we have out in space, it's roughly along that angle vector direction. And so it's because the closest approach of 3i.
So could 3i Atlas potentially be the angel who dips its golden censer into the sun and throws it to Earth? That's interesting, huh?
Atlas is coming up on the 19th of December. So very interesting that this sunspot is huge, doesn't do anything across this entire movement there, that entire rotation. And the moment it gets in line with 3i Atlas, we get that 1.1 X class flare. Now we have this 4.4 M class flare. We'll see that at the very end of this video. Then I'll pause it so we can look at specifically. So we see a lot of activity kind of building up and then boom, right there. Now that is effectively pretty close to the western limb. If this sunspot group stays active across this transit across the western limb, this is solar coordinate system. So the western side is the right side, the eastern side is the left side. Then we could get some increased radiation particle flux as a result of that. So that is also another energetic factor that could be turning on in the near future. But let's look at our real-time solar wind, because this is the key for seeing this phantom solar storm. And here we have the past, the past 1 day of data. And so this is just coming in. We had 2 coronal mass ejection impacts come in over the past 24 hours, but they were fairly muted. Then we saw this increase in volatility here. Then all of a sudden, boom, the field strengthened. And we see this across multiple things. So the velocity went up. We see that we went from 400 kilometers per second up to about 450. We see the density is very high. When you're in this 10 to 15 to 20 range, look at that value right there, 19, right? That's a very high solar wind density. You see now it just turned on a G1 storm. And then if we look here at our magnetic field, the black line is the total field strength. The red line is the southward component. It's just a specific angle direction that you can measure the magnetic field in and the force that's contained in that direction. And when it's really negative, that has a really good connection to Earth's magnetic field. And so a strong total field pushes the solar wind in further into the Earth magnetosphere, plastosphere system. And then if it's negative, it connects and injects that energy into the Earth. So we have a strong connection here, 17, negative 15, you go across and look, it's basically maintaining perfectly across this time frame. This is going from 2000 right there all the way up to 2218. So the past 2 hours now, we've had good conditions for strong geomagnetic storming. The original alert put out by NOAA was for a G3 geomagnetic storm. They canceled that when it didn't come in on time. Turns out this storm was quite a bit slower than expected. That also means it's going to be denser than expected. So typically if it's
fantastic. I thought we had skated through it last night because everybody was feeling pretty decent. Turns out it just hadn't hit us yet. So that's what he's saying. He's saying the solar radiation they were expecting yesterday, the solar storms, is hitting delayed, which is going to hit slower and harder. So there you go. All right. Well, that's everything I got for you guys today. Yeah. You guys have any questions? Anything you want to talk about before we go real quick? Looks like we're all caught up on the chat. Hoverboards were made, but are not popular due to fires and other mishaps. They never took off. Too many problems with them. Yeah. So they have wheeled hoverboards. And a lot of variations, which are quite popular. There's a one wheel hoverboard that rests on a wheel that's really popular that a lot of kids use these days. Matter of fact, we see these let's see, one. Oh, look at it on YouTube. If you guys haven't seen these are pretty good. We actually see these on trails when we go hiking. Yeah, these things.
If you're considering the one-wheel pint eggs, please watch this video before you buy, because I want to share my biggest regret with this purchase, as well as some things that confused me.
Yeah, so it's not exactly the hoverboard that has no wheels and floats on a cushion of magnetism. My understanding, I have seen versions of that. I've never seen. I've heard rumors, and I seem to recall the rumors being busted as a myth. I think it was Mythbusters that may have actually busted it. But there is a hoverboard, but it requires a special floor that will float on magnets, kind of like the MagLift train. And I don't think it's practical because it requires somebody might have like a skate park with these kind of hoverboards, but like Fury's saying, they're dangerous, and there's too many mishaps. Like the ones that actually float on magnetism, these are the more realistic and practical ones, and they have these with one wheel and two wheels. This one is the one that I think is most popular now. There are two-wheeled versions, which you've probably seen at holiday event, like kids get for Christmas because they're pretty cheap. Like under $50, you can get basically two wheels with a platform, and it's motorized. But yeah, this is the best you get for hoverboards these days. We just don't have the technology to stabilize a superconductor for efficient power source. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for the future though. They just discovered a new form of electrical wires with zero loss of energy or heat. So who knows what they'll be able to do with magnetism in the future. I imagine we'll get better at utilizing it. All right, well, I'm going to leave you guys there. We're going to go spend some time with the family tonight. We got a family event that we're going to do. So thank you so much for joining me for today's daily Torment report. If you get the opportunity, go watch this whole interview. It's pretty good. It's one of the slower interviews, but Katie does a really good job of asking questions. It's only about an hour long, and it gives you an insight into who Elon Musk is. And about 12 minutes in, that's when she asks him, who do you look up to the most? And he says, the creator. I absolutely love that. That's comforting for me because there's so many skeptics who think that Elon Musk is the Antichrist, and you guys know how I feel about that. So thanks again for taking the time to join me for the Torment report. Let me know how you like this time frame. Do you like me doing the show a little bit earlier? Today it was 4:30 my time instead of 5:30. Does it make a difference to you? Do you like this time frame better? I did this just so we have an extra hour in the evening because we have an event that we're going to. Let me know if you guys like it. We could change it to 4:30, but by and large, we usually go Monday through Friday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So let me know how you feel. Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe if you haven't. Comments. And I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow. God bless you guys, and shalom, shalom.